I'm Randi Markel, Vividly Woman Co-facilitator, educator, coach, and blessed mom of 4 beautiful children. I'm thrilled to be with you today to talk about how satiating self-love starvation has affected my life as a mother. When I first heard this title, I was a little taken back, mostly because of the word starvation. It seems so harsh. But when I began to think about it, I realized that it's a cruel reality most women, including myself, allow into our lives. Mostly because society has played a joke on us, telling us that loving ourselves and taking care of ourselves mentally and physically, emotionally and spiritually is not important enough. Our culture would have us believe that how much we get done in a day is more important. Well, let me go on record here and say that as mothers, it is our responsibility to teach and model for our children that it's not okay, that loving ourselves is actually the most important thing that we can do, as it affects all aspects of our life. Fortunately, I've been on the most incredible journey with Vividly Woman for the past few years, and I've discovered that this work is vital for myself and for my family. Now, just a few years ago, I was really struggling with my life. I wasn't satisfied with my work, my mother was very ill, and I spent a lot of time not so happy and not really invested passionately in what was going on around me. I was always a very loving and caring mom, and I was capable of making sure my children's lives ran smoothly and that they didn't lack for anything. As a parent, I was doing everything right, but as a woman, I didn't feel fully alive. My expression was routine and predictable, not exciting and sensual. What I realized was that my children were picking up at a much more subtle level what I was feeling. I knew that I needed to make some changes in my own life so that my own children would model loving themselves. I can't imagine anything a mom would want more than for their child to love themselves and have confidence and strong self-esteem and be comfortable in the beautiful skin that they were born with. And if I was not comfortable with my own emotions, how could I authentically give my children permission to have theirs? In fact, when we fall into this trap, we teach them that it's not okay to be down or sad or even have a bad day. We're actually teaching them that there's something wrong with them. So instead of playing the blame game and feeling guilty about all the ways I could possibly be screwing up their lives, I did something instead about it. So a little while back, I was lucky enough to be attending Leaders Circle, and I participated in a full emotional intelligence assessment, which is what you get to do before you go to Leaders Circle. It's kind of a cool thing. And I realized that there were certain emotions that I was still rejecting and making not okay. And as a result, I was putting a limitation on my own life expression and energy. If I was expressing this in my own self, then I must have been teaching that subtly to my children as well. So joining the Vividly Woman community was like opening a Pandora's box for me. Once I saw the treasures, there was no turning back. I was 100% committed to taking the time to reclaim my womanhood, that goddess that was buried beneath my story. And my children got to watch firsthand the investment that I was making into my own happiness. So what I discovered is that by joining in circle with other women, whether it's on the monthly community calls or a weekend or week-long event, it's made a huge difference in my family life. I noticed that my children are now taking an interest in what I'm doing for myself. They love hearing me tell stories about the women I meet and the processes I participate in. And they love learning how I open up and dance and play like a carefree little girl. I can actually see on their faces the excitement and joy this brings them. They're actually thrilled for me. In fact, my youngest daughter and I brought Dance Your Power, Leela Francis's program, to her Girl Scout troop. And she loved that we did that together and also felt like she was standing in her power as a girl and that her dance was going to make a difference in the lives of women everywhere. So my children also began to notice that I was treating myself differently. I make sure to spend time every day doing something nice for myself, whether it's taking time alone to be reading a book or getting my nails done or even jumping on my rebounder. They notice. In fact, they'll ask me what I'm doing during the day while they're at school because they want to see what I have in store for myself. So this impact on my family has been really exciting. So in preparing for this video, I actually asked them 2 burning questions, and I'd like to share with you their responses. So I have here, first I asked them that since I joined the Vividly Woman community, I asked what do they notice is different about me. So I was really thrilled with their honest answers. So they said the following, that I am more patient and that there's less yelling in the house. Imagine that. That little things that would normally aggravate me or frustrate me don't. They see that I don't feel badly about not doing anything, which was kind of funny. I don't do anything sometimes, and that taking time for myself is really okay. They love that I'm more concerned with the impact I have on other people in my business before the money. They were less likely to find me in a bad mood. Wow. The tone of my voice is different and gentler. That I'm caring towards others and myself, and that I take time for myself. I was so thrilled with their notices. So then I asked them another question. I asked them, what about how I am living my life now? And what do they want to model as they grow up? So their answers actually brought a little tear to my eye. This is what they said. They agreed that they're accepting of themselves the way they are and won't compare themselves to anybody else, and that they have self-confidence, and that they're bigger than any obstacle, and that they're not afraid of how others will judge them. Wow. My older teenage daughters also made me aware of something, which is that they see their friends always come to me for guidance and advice, and they know that in this house they won't be judged, that they'll just be greeted with love and acceptance. And they said they felt proud to have a mom like that, and said they intended to be the same exact way when they got older. So, made me feel so good. And this also made me realize that you bring yourself with you everywhere you go and to every relationship you're in. So if you don't love yourself deeply, this is going to show up, especially with your children. It's why indulging in self-love and making the investment in yourself will echo out to your family tenfold. So a real-life example of how embodying self-love has impacted my life is when my daughter Chelsea was in 5th or 6th grade. She had some really serious peer issues. There were a bunch of really not so nice cliquey girls that chose my daughter as a target. And she would come home from school crying and had trouble sleeping at night. And she even was afraid of what clothes she was going to wear to school so that they wouldn't have a reason to torment her. As a mom, I questioned whether I was to blame for her troubles that she was having. I would go to bed myself at night with a stomach ache and feeling like I failed her as a mom and a protector. So now fast forward 8 years later and a whole lot of work on myself later, and I found myself in a similar situation recently with my son Max. So in fact, he had a bully situation that required me going up to school for a meeting. And as I was driving in the car, I felt that very familiar stomach ache coming on, and I really sensed tightness in my jaw and in my lower back. But because I had the tools, I was able to stay grounded and not get caught up in blaming myself. I was able to be present with my emotions and sit as a witness to them instead of getting caught up in them. I was calm and allowed my heart to remain open so that I could be clear in helping take care of what this uncomfortable situation was going to bring. And I was able to model for my son how my inner strength and my self-confidence prevailed and ultimately helped him to resolve the situation. His level of self-esteem and self-worth was so high that together we were a great support team. I was able to show up differently with my son because I was working with a whole new set of self-standards and was able to mirror that for him. So here's a tip for you. It's important to teach and mirror for our children how to stand in our power. Notice for yourself when emotions come up, what you're not comfortable with. Do they cause you to become ungrounded? Do they cause you to play the blame game, or to yell, or to withdraw? Our children are watching how we deal with uncomfortable situations, and it is vital that we show them that their power lies within. What I have learned to do is to stop making up stories and to come back to the body experience and to come back into my own power and notice what emotions are there and stand as witness to them without letting them overpower me. So power comes from inside of them, inside of us, and it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. This we need to model and teach our children. So thanks for spending time with me. I hope you will join us in the Vividly Woman community, and you'll begin your journey of self-love for yourself and for your beautiful families. Namaste.